This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. So here's the next episode.
Welcome to the Rockstar Dad Show, everybody. My name is Jaret. With me, as always, is Gary, and I'm in such a good mood today, and I know what it is, and I have this whole new thing. Basically, if you get up early in the morning, and then when you get to the shit you have to do that's after 11, you're fucking stoked. But when you wake up 30 minutes before you have to do anything and you're rushing around and you you spill your coffee or the fucking Sonic ice goes all over the floor or whatever, and the dog is pissed and whatever. Anyway, it just makes for a shitty day. And I set myself up for shitty days a lot.
Yeah, no, that's not good, man. You got to set yourself up better. When you started off with the you're in a good mood and all this, I don't know why I had the flashback to whenever I was in first grade. I think this is the first time that me and my friends ever got sent to the principal's office.
Yeah.
And we got sent to the principal's office. I don't remember what we were doing, but we got there and the principal was like, I know why you boys are acting up today. It's cloudy out. And sometimes when it's cloudy out, you don't feel your best and you don't act your best and blah, blah, blah. And just sent us back to class because it was cloudy and we no one got in trouble. And we all looked at each other like we can do anything we want. There's no consequences here.
You for sure went to private school. Our principal was the scariest fucking guy in the world. Oh my God. I don't think he said one kind thing ever, but turns out I found out late in life that girls loved him. So that creeps me out even more because the dude was, you know what I mean? I don't know. He was like a gymnastics coach, but he was so mean. And, but I do, this is what I was going to talk about. This first little bit here, by the way, it has to do with being little. And because my son just did this thing and I was kind of like this when I was a kid, and it just got me to thinking, and I wonder if you were even like this, because your personality is so, and I bet Tyler too, you're just so you're not really a tall tale teller. That's hard to say for a Texan, by the way. Tall tale teller. I would just say tall tale teller, right? What would you say? Tall tail teller.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Tall tail tailor. How many tall tales did tall tail tell? Okay.
Not a huge exaggerator or embellisher.
You're not. And I've known you since you were 13.
Yeah.
And you don't really seem like you've ever been that way.
No, more of my good stories that I tell are there's a hidden twist and you don't realize the punchline till the very end, but it's not I'm not making things bigger than they are.
So I just remember a time when you would go over to say my parents, we went over to one of their friends' houses and I met new kids, right? So, or camp or anything like that. Anytime you're around newer people, I would exaggerate my skills in many things. It's sort of like the whole, the Canadian girlfriend kind of thing, right?
Sure.
Everything was just, oh yeah, but back at home, I'm the quarterback of the team or whatever. Whereas I was really third string center, and I was really bad about shit like that. I mean, I remember one time I went over to this, the people's names was Parky. I was probably in second grade. Kid's name was Joe Ed Parky. And, I didn't even know how to ride a bike without training wheels. But I can remember getting on his sister's little bike and pretending I was trying to pedal it, but I couldn't ride it because it was just too small for me, but I could have just easily gotten on one of his big bikes and ridden it. I just didn't know how to ride a bike without training wheels. I was really a late bloomer. No. Okay. So I couldn't have been that old. I learned to ride a bike without training wheels at the end of first grade. But that's real late. Like we were riding our bikes to school and I had training wheels.
Yeah, that's late for that time period. For sure.
I mean, it was really, really late. And, but I literally did the thing where I just sort of rode it till the training wheels fell off. And then I just was, sort of like how I taught my kid to swim.
Yeah.
With training wheels. But that's just the kind of kid I was, and we would, meet up with cousins or whatever. Of course, I was the starting quarterback. And so one time I somehow got myself on an all-star basketball team at the boys club because the coach name is Brent Cowart and he's looking around for players or whatever. And he had my friend, he was looking for my friend, Danny Holland. We talked about him a couple of episodes ago. He got a chigger bite on the end of his wee, but now he's a orthopedic surgeon. And
it all worked out for him.
It worked out fine, But anyway, he was looking for him, and he was just, and I'm like, he's not what anyway, because I'm putting together this basketball team. I want to go do these tournaments. Well, I play a little ball, and of course, got myself onto this team. Just way out of my literal league,
Yeah.
I mean, it was just embarrassing how terrible I was. But all of this leads to my son Everett is 12, and they do this thing in middle school, where they get all of the kids that play baseball in the various schools. And I guess it's like around all of the cities you essentially put together this team of like, hey, all the kids that play baseball at this school, we're putting together a team and we're going to go play the other schools. So he's he's playing for his school with all these other kids that play either rec or select. So his friends who are on select are on this baseball team. And Gary, they're fucking 12 and 13. They're fucking good.
Yeah.
And even the baseball field is bigger. Like the outfield is like 300 instead of 260, and it's this whole thing. But he did the thing, and he went to the first meeting and he just like, well, okay, what position do you play? I'm a pitcher and I play I play left field. Now he does play left field. He's very good at left field. It's a very important position. Those of you who don't know this, it sounds like I'm being facetious. I'm not. You back up third base. It's extremely important in younger baseball because that throw to third base from the catcher gets squirrely sometimes.
Sure.
So backing up especially that particular throw is important. You have to instinctually know when that's going to happen. Plus you have to cover the thing or whatever. And he does a really good job out there. He really does. But he full on fucking told him, yeah, I pitch. And this kid he fucking threw 3 pitches this whole year. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't practice pitching. None of it. Right. So he comes home last night and Amy had took the boys. So, so me and Casey actually went and had some sushi and came home and we were sitting watching the new Osama bin Laden documentary, which by the way, highly recommended. It's really, really good. And it's super, super hyper focused on just them getting him, like over the years and sort of like all of and they build the whole relationship and like sort of like all of the shit that he did along the way and how he was on the radar. And, it's really fucking good, by the way. It's like, it's one of those things where like I feel like whenever I saw it, I was just like, nah, I kind of know all that shit,
Yeah.
Like, I've been living that shit for 25 fucking years.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it's been in our lives for 25 years.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a good portion of our life. Do you realize that was a fucking quarter century ago?
Yeah.
Isn't crazy. That wild? Great. Like, think about this. Like a quarter century before that was like fucking Vietnam, Gary.
Yeah, no, I heard someone say something the other day. This doesn't have anything to do with the Bin Laden thing, but to your point, that when we're halfway through this year, that means we're closer to 2050 than we are 2000.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's fucking crazy. Yeah. Anyway, we were watching that and he comes in and you could just tell like we can just tell when he's, because we've talked a lot about my child's feelings on this show
Yeah.
over the years, about how when he would go to timeout, he would just be like, I just feel like I'm very alone and no one loves me. And you're just like, Jesus, can we think would you rather be spanked? What could we do? Could just tell. And anyway, he's not spilling it. He's not spilling it. He's like getting ready for a shower. He comes out. He forgot a towel because he's his mother. And, that's what they do. They no preparation for fucking anything, right? So they go in the bathroom to take their shit. There's never any of the shit that they need, And so I'll remind him to get the shower on the way in, Gary. On the way in, I'm going, hey man, make sure you got a towel. Okay.
Yeah.
And then doo-doo-doo, and ALEXA pops up, whatever. Dad, bring me a towel.
Yeah, you're like, I thought I already took care of this.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch Osama bin Laden here. Jesus.
Yeah. 25 years in the making.
It's in the making for 20. It's a quarter century, kid. Anyway, so he comes back out again, and then Casey, she can just get him to fucking tell her anything. And then finally he just comes out. Well, they're just all really good. And the field's bigger, and it's a lot more ground to cover in left field. And she goes, did you do any pitching? Yeah. Well, how'd you do? Not great. Well, do you feel like maybe you shouldn't have told them that you're a pitcher since you literally haven't pitched at all? Like, she gets down to real Casey. Like you threw three literal pitches last season. And maybe you didn't. Did you not think to not tell them? You think maybe you should have just left that to the kids who have been pitching and taking lessons and shit? She didn't say and shit.
Yeah.
And all the while I'm just sitting there, like I'm letting them work this out. But the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, I would have done the fucking exact same thing. Like I would have rolled in there, just go, oh shit, yeah. Well, I can break a curve about 3 feet, but we're not allowed to do that in this league.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hitting 500, and but it's with another bat that I have. And I'm not allowed to bring it to the thing, to this. But anyway, I felt terrible for him. Because he literally, so she was just like, you think their games are tonight. She's like, you think maybe when you show up, just be like, hey, I don't think pitching's for me, for this particular event. Like, let me, because the kid can hit, and it's just like that. That's really, he's playing baseball with all these other kids that he's never played with. Again, some of them are really fucking good.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, do the thing that you can do. Like get in, tell him, do what is your skill set? Well, he can knock the shit out of the ball. Like he's almost over the fence in the shorter field. And it's like, and then get out there and fucking play left field, And, but yeah,
if he can hit, they'll find a spot for him.
That's right. Yeah. And again, it's all for fun. This is all for fun, and they'll have 2 games tonight if they win. And we're playing Argyle, which sounds terrifying to me.
Yeah, I bet they're good.
Yeah, they're going to be fucking good. And it just and it's going to be one of those things where like our coach is like oh yeah, sure. Oh, you're a pitcher? Well, fucking A. I'm sure those of you who are not from Texas, all of these small towns where we live are real good at sports. Like, yeah. It's Argyle is just this little flash in the pan, but it's where, there's a considerable amount of money there.
I was going to say it's going to be a mix of like rich kids and farm boys.
Yeah. Exactly.
The rich kids have all been taking lessons, and the farm boys are just good.
Yeah. And they could just knock the shit out of that thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And that's just the way it is, right? It's like if you, South Lake, is like this rich area that they win state every year, little bitty fucking shitty town. It's just not even really a town. It's a resort. They've got golf courses and a subway. And
not the mass transit. You're saying the sandwich shop.
Yeah. Yeah. The sandwich shop where I think Post Malone used to work there. Are you sick, buddy?
Man, I've been doing the thing for about a week and a half where I've got like the little tick in my throat, and I'm like, I'm going to be sick tomorrow. I'm going to be sick tomorrow. And I've been fighting it off. And in the middle of the night last night, it like finally turned into a cough. So I'm still trying to fight it off. I feel fine, but like my voice sounds like crap and I'm coughing and yeah.
Yeah, you get that little horsey sauce on the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
It's great. It's great. Yeah. it's really great. I'll tell you, I was actually just thinking yesterday, I don't want to jinx myself, but I've been able to breathe through my nose for almost a solid week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can never fucking breathe through my nose ever.
Like I said, I've been for a week and a half trying to fight this thing off. Like, no, I'm not getting sick. And now I'd like actually grew some legs. And so I'm like, okay, let's just make this thing run its course before Thursday, whenever we leave town.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely want to feel better by Friday. It's going to be a long day, but a good day. It's going to be a good day. Guys, you're listening to the Rockstar Dad Show. Coming up later, SNYDER from the band It Hurts to Be Dead is here. He's actually from our hometown of Wichita Falls, and super interesting, really cool guy. Great band and guys that we've known for a really long time, and that's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun conversation. But we do have to take a break because, these commercials aren't going to run themselves. You guys listen to this. We'll be right back with more Rockstar Dad Show. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. Don't forget, you can grab that Adobe app and take us with you wherever you go. And just you get this show and some other shows, and you get music. They have a pop punk emo thing, I think, and then they've got other stuff. Anyway, it's great. Go get the Adobe app. Or listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, don't forget, smash that subscribe button if you are listening to us via podcast app. And a nice review of Gary's soothing voice now that he has a lozenge.
I do have a lozenge. We had to take a break, and I had to go get something. And also, I think I told you before, Mia's in she's been in that immersion Spanish class, and we haven't been super thrilled with it. We think she was kind of not getting that much out of it and was a little behind. And so we're pulling her out of it. But over the summer, she's doing a little bit of tutoring to get caught up. So had to get her set up on that thing. And she loves it. She loves the tutoring thing. So I thought she was going to be like, oh, no, I have to do school over the summer. And she's like, can we do another one tomorrow?
Oh, good. That's funny. I'm so glad you told me that, because I was going to ask, but I didn't know if I was going to ask on the show, because, sometimes we talk about stuff, sometimes we don't. But I know there's been some frustrations in that. Everett was in the Spanish immersion program as well. And for those of you who are outside of our area, the way that it works is you got to test into it, and then they take half English-speaking kids, and they take half basically kids whose main language in the home is Spanish. They put them into the same class, and then they teach half the curriculum in English and half the curriculum in Spanish. And the idea is that, the children sort of work together in tandem in learning, or better learning, two languages. And the idea is to have bilingual kids by the time they're in 7th or 8th grade. And it does work. But there's hiccups and stuff in there. And what happened with us was it occurred during when Everett was in it. He got in it, and he got through the kindergarten aspect of it, and I think it was 1st grade, and the coronavirus hit. COVID hit. So now we're not in school for a very long time. And when they went back to school, the teachers were wearing masks, and watching their mouths move is kind of important, and our kid is severely ADHD. So, but I think he made it till, gosh, I guess he made it till 4th grade, but we had some problems too. But what's wacky is when they get out of this, they are behind in other things. Like his spelling is still really weird because he learned to spell phonetically in Spanish. And so he still spells everything, because the English language is fucking stupid. You
Well,
know?
it's funny because I sat in on the first couple of lessons that she did with the tutor thing, and it's funny because like where we thought she was behind after watching her with this tutor, I'm wondering if she's really that far behind or if she's just really good at manipulating her parents.
Yeah. And
You know,
that's
because
the
like
thing.
just there's certain things that we were asking her, and she's like, I don't know how to, she like really needed us to help her,
Yeah.
But then I watched her with this tutor, and she did great. And then this program that we have her in, like there's practice lessons that they can do on their own. And she loved it so much after the first 1 and 2. I was like, well, do you just want to do some of these for fun? She's like, yeah, okay, great. And then whenever she was doing it on her own, she's like asking me back to asking me, how do you do this? I'm like, you know how to do that, sound it out or this or that. And she goes, so back to the frustration of like, I wasn't doing it for her. And so
Right.
I'm just really wondering how much of it is her manipulating us, but hopefully she's not as far behind as we thought.
It's also, though, one of those things where I wonder just how overwhelmed their little brains are, because sometimes they, like with Everett, like he didn't even know that he knew stuff. Like, someone would just start speaking Spanish to him, like at a restaurant or something, and he would just respond back. And he didn't think twice about it because he wasn't thinking about it. It was just autopilot.
Right.
But then he was overwhelmed by the fact of, by the lessons of it all, by it being scholastically required for him to do, but then, he'd be like, un poquito, whatever, like, and just, did you just ask for a little bit of salsa or something?
Yeah.
Like, what just happened? Where did you learn, but, well, I'm glad she's liking that. And you know what? I mean, isn't it great that you find out, you figure out these other uses for screens? We talk about screens all the time, and we talk about how, the bad parts of it, and obviously there's so many negative aspects to it, socially and, just developmental wise and all of that. Nobody argues that, but there are just so many benefits to it. As I told you, I'm like, I'm working on piano again. And I, I'm like, I've found so many different, I'm overwhelmed by how much help there is out there. Like,
Yeah.
it just, like, I can take full on fucking lessons on an app, and I haven't decided whether I want to do that or not, but just that's one thing, it's, and it's like, Casey and I were talking about this. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but my wife has ADHD. And she just gets these wild hairs up her butt and just decides she's going to just, you know what? Now I want to make a quilt. She's never made a quilt before. Well, she had tried this 10 years ago and it ended terribly. In fact, she had gotten a sewing machine, and we were moving. Milo was a puppy, a big floppy puppy, if you remember, just shitting on the couch and just like, I mean, just a shitty, just an asshole, but just the sweetest asshole you ever did see. Just the most perfect boy. I love this dog so much, but he was an asshole. But anyway, she had this quilt, we were in a temporary apartment, as you remember. And so she had this quilt like laid out on our floor, and this thing was like a 3-story, what do you call it? I mean, it wasn't an apartment. It's not I don't know. Anyway, whatever this place we lived was, it's like a 3-story thing, but like each story was only like 1 or 2 rooms, so like it's not crazy 3-story house like it sounds. It's like the bottom floor was just Emma's room, and then the living area was the 2nd floor, and then it had 2 bedrooms on the 3rd floor.
It's like a townhouse or something.
Townhouse, that's what it was. And so Milo got up the stairs one time and just got into our bedroom and just completely demolished the quilt that was laid out on the floor or whatever. And that was the end of the quilting at that point. And so she came up the other day and she's like, I think I'm going to get a new sewing machine. And I was just like, oh, okay. Well, we just threw one out, when we were decluttering. We had that one that was, only used it a couple of times or whatever. And
that sucks. But isn't that the part of, at least for me, in my mindset of the decluttering. I'm like, we have to get rid of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Even if we get rid of something and then
we
later
need it
decide
again. Yeah.
that's fine. I'll pay the price to buy it again.
Yeah.
Or for the benefit of getting rid of all this stuff.
100%. And I was totally cool with that. But in my own head, I went, but wait a minute. Didn't we buy that like 11 years ago? How far has sewing machines come in the last 10 years? Because I go, just look at fucking Roombas. You know what I mean? Like our Roomba now, the one, I haven't set it up yet, but we have the new one now where it's going to mop and vacuum and it can see things. So like it won't, if it sees a sock, it doesn't run over it. It just fucking notes it and sends you a text. Hey, there's something, it looks like a sock on the floor. And so I didn't get this area right here. I mean, think about that. You know, Roombas, you know, I mean, maybe the days of them running over the dog shit is even over. I don't know. But anyway, I was just like, you know what? I mean, I imagine those really have come a long way. It probably is time for a newer sewing machine, even if you were doing that, right?
Yeah.
And so she got the sewing machine and she is starting to quilt again. And she's very happy. I can't remember why I started talking about this.
Well, of course, we were talking about screens, so you went to sewing.
Oh, right. So, no, but she just goes, holy shit. You know, when I started this, when I tried to do this 10 years ago, I'm like walking through Joann's craft store and Michael's just like, what do I do? You know, I mean, there's nothing out there. She goes, now there's so much knowledge on the internet that like, at every single step, there's 25 different options of like someone or something to show you what to do.
Yeah.
And she's just like, my God, it's just the world is just moving so incredibly quick. And that's for something like sewing, you know, and then but it's the same thing with, you know, with recording. And as you and I were talking about our podcast setups, you know, like mine has been the same since before COVID. And I just fixed one thing today and it just completely changed the sound of the show. And it's just wild how quickly things change. And sometimes we just get in there. Anyway, back to Mia. I'm glad she's learning Spanish.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense about the sewing thing. Cause I mean, you could think just about anything 10 years ago. It's like, you could still look up the video of how to do something.
Yeah.
But you'd find like an hour-long video and it's like, okay, I maybe just need a 3-minute snippet and you have to watch this hour-long video to find it.
Mm-hmm.
But now you can find that 3-minute snippet easy, right? And there's 100 of them.
It's so crazy just the way that that all of that shit works. And you know, like, I mean, now things just don't even come with instructions anymore, you know, like now it's just, you either got a QR code or you just Google it and it shows you what to do. You know,
I've for a long time, like it's at least been 5 years where I've been like, just toss the instructions out. Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same way as like, I get it. Like we'll in the mail, maybe there's some company that still sends us a catalog. Right. And I just throw that thing right in the recycle bin.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, I want to see that catalog. And I'm like, go online. They got it. It's just right there. You can, we don't need this. And
but
so
for
I've been
some
like
people that flipping through that thing is just, you know, it's, I'm the same way on like a book. I have yet to read a book on a screen. I still haven't done it. I am either a listener or I just like to have it in my hand kind of thing. I mean, I'm going to convert, but
I don't know. I've read some books on the iPad and I'll say that I get way more out of it with the actual physical, you know, book in the hand. I get more out of it that way.
There's something to it. You know, there's something, as you said the other day when we were talking about it, there's something to that whole being able to just like manually turn the pages back on the 2 pages you weren't paying attention to while you were reading, you know, and just, I don't know. There's a relationship that happens with that. But, you know, again, I do understand. My wife got me a Kindle for Christmas. It might've been my birthday last year. I don't know. It's been sitting there for a very long time. And I should use it. And I realized, God, that's so convenient to throw in my bag, you know, and just have whatever. But, and I was thinking about reading this book. I didn't realize that there's this reimagined book from, so someone took Huckleberry Finn and reimagined it from Jim's perspective.
Okay.
And it's called James. And I'm like, I'm super interested in that because I loved Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn when I was a kid. I mean, there was the movies and the books and the, whatever, but I liked all that shit. Well, we got to take a break. Sean SNYDER is going to join us today from the band It Hurts to Be Dead. Go check them out. Really, really good band, good dudes, and excited to have him on the show. You're listening to the Rockstar Dad Show. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. And you know what? We have patient guests all the time, Gary, but man, Sean SNYDER has been awesome with scheduling, and we had to cancel for some reason. I don't even remember why we had to cancel last week. It was probably me. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's me. Sean SNYDER is here from It Hurts to Be Dead, which, by the way, not only is a great band name, but it also looks really fucking cool when you just use the first letter of each. What's that called? Where you use the first letter of each thing on the
acronym?
Anyway, it looks really cool on a shirt, especially a baseball one. My wife finds me very attractive in my Texas Rangers-ish It Hurts to Be Dead shirt that I wear.
I that's my favorite one that we've done out of t-shirts. I think maybe we should probably do another run of those. Maybe.
I agree with Jaret though. The name is badass. I've always thought it's just a fabulous name.
Yeah, and what's great is what is awesome about your band, other than the fact that you guys rule, but also you're from our hometown of Wichita Falls, where we grew up.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm coming at you right now from 8th Street, downtown Wichita Falls. I'm actually in our rehearsal space right now. So
I'm going to be honest, Sean, I got to be completely honest with you. I don't know what part of 8th Street you're on, but I came down there for a rehearsal with John Richardson and David Norman. I was doing this. I know what it was. We were kind of starting. No. It was when I set in for Obscene Jester, and we got to use the old Bowling for Soup practice place or whatever. And I stopped at Sonic down there on 9th Street, and it looked like I was in Portland. People, just zombies down there everywhere.
Yeah. There is an element of that down here. Some, it seems to be worse lately than what it has been in previous years, but it just kind of goes with the territory of being down here, I guess. And the downtown area down here in general is like has begun to kind of thrive, but also when that happens, you get the other side of that as well. So
yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to bring up to you. But first of all, did you grow up in Wichita Falls, or did you move there?
I have lived between Wichita Falls and Iowa Park, which is, small place right outside, basically back and forth between both places my entire life.
Wow. And you started It Hurts to Be Dead 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And but what I've found to be really cool, like and it's sort of after we left. So we left in 97-ish. But when we lived in Wichita Falls, it was very much, there really wasn't a scene, so to speak. There had been, right before we had started Bowling for Soup, Chris Burney was running the Refuge Coffee Shop, and there was kind of a scene and bands sort of like banding together, so to speak. But
sure,
sort of like the end of our time there, it was very much like there was separation. It was a lot of what we would call battle of the bands. Everybody was jealous of everybody, and but it seems like I've watched you guys and bands like Carp and gosh, it goes on and on, but a lot of more camaraderie and more of a scene there, and a small town music scene that seems to really support one another.
Yeah. And it's gotten more and more so, just since we've started this band even, cause I think going back to like 2010 or something like that, there really wasn't as much going on at that time either. Cause how it flows, but now there are just so many bands and, all kinds of original bands, all kinds of cover bands, but all the musicians in town are just like, for the most part, like the nicest people, and everybody comes out and supports one another's show, and yeah, it's just a lot of great people, and it is kind of a tight knit scene.
Yeah, that's one of the things is, there's guys that I was in bands with in high school that are still in bands around, John Richardson being a guitar god there in Wichita
Yeah,
Falls, and he was my
absolutely.
guitar player through my metal years, and I have so many stories about that guy. He's John Richardson is and it's crazy because Bowling for Soup's been together for 30 years, and I do have these about Bowling, but if I need to like make myself laugh, like for example, I need to sort of like liven up, like whatever it's for, whatever reason, or maybe my mood is just shitty. There are 3 to 4 things that I can think of John Richardson and literally just die laughing. And that was the friendship that we had. But again, it's just so cool because I see you guys all go into each other's shows and posting about each other's shows and actually going to the gigs. And I think that is it's such a cool thing, and it's just so good for a music scene to get out there and support your bros. And I think a lot of smaller towns could really learn from that because you guys play to good audiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And the turnout on any given weekend or what have you, for just about any show that's thrown in Wichita Falls anymore, it's like, they're all well attended. And it used to be so that if there were 2 or more shows on the same night, one room would be empty for sure,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of not that way anymore.
Not only that though, but you guys have gotten like places to play. Now, a little history for anybody just, listening to this show because of Bowling for Soup. There's the bar that my country band just played last week is called the Iron Horse. And that opened up across the street from the first like really big like venue where Dallas bands would come and you could see the Nixons and Trippin' Daisy, and it was called 724 AD. And then that guy Neil Parkey sold that place and it became what, 469 or something. What was that place called? Anybody remember?
Something like
I
that.
don't remember anything after 724 AD.
Yeah, well, a dude bought it, put spray paint all over the walls and made it more shitty. and it went to hell. So Neil came back and opened the beer garden right across the street, and that place still functions as the Iron Horse Pub. However many years it's been. I mean, it's bonkers how long it's been around, and we just played there the other weekend, and I just love going there. But now you guys have a brewery down there, and it seems like there's 4 or 5 places there in Wichita Falls where you guys are able to go play, which is so great for, a scene of bands of like dudes that are out there working as hard as they can while still raising families and shit.
I think it's cool that to your point, Jaret, that it seems like there actually is a supportive scene. The bands are all supportive of each other, and also it seems like there's actually some venues now to play. Where I think back in the day there are some venues you could play at, but it seemed like you were annoying the venues, and now it kind of seems like there's venues that are supporting the scene as well. But also it does seem like It Hurts to Be Dead. Y'all also have a footbed in Dallas. Y'all are getting cool shows down here, which is awesome to see.
Yeah. We get down to Dallas as often as possible. Played Denton quite a lot the last couple of years. Denton has been really good for us. We play at Rubber Gloves a lot. I know you guys know Rubber Gloves rehearsal studios. But yeah, we like to get down into the Metroplex area and really any place else. But DFW is just so close to here that it just makes sense for us to be there as often as we can,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and it's cool when and I love that you let me know when you're down here. Cause one of these days, it's like, we'll be able to get there and
yeah, sure.
I'm excited for you guys and everything you got going on, but this is the Rockstar Dad Show. And one of the reasons why I hit you up was I know you're a dad.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about your family.
Okay. So, of course, married, to my lovely wife, Amanda. We've got 3 kids, Scarlett, who is 17, She's just about to graduate, is from a previous marriage. And then Amanda and I have two together. Ian, my son, is 10, and Clara Patricia is 1.5 now.
Clara Patricia. Love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's what'd you say, 1.5?
1.5,
You're
yeah.
back in the trenches.
Yeah, you have really
Absolutely.
spread this out, sir. You
I know, and it is as crazy as it sounds, actually. Too. But
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things, it was like kind of now or never. Amanda and I knew we wanted to have one more, and I started doing the math, and I was like, if we do this now, but it has to be like right now.
Yeah.
But just she definitely keeping us busy these days.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's how old are you now?
I'm 44.
Yeah. So I mean, goodness gracious. That's like so the band Sister Hazel, they do the rock boat. And all of those guys have grown kids.
Yeah.
And the guitar player just became a dad like last year. And now all the other guys are like starting to have grandkids and shit. And then now this
Yeah.
guy's got a baby at home or whatever, and he's just like, oh my God, it's different when your back hurts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it is different. And I was 33 or something when Ian was born. And
Yeah.
my thing at that time was, well, I'm not in my 20s anymore,
Yeah.
this is harder. No, that was easy comparatively.
It's funny because I'm 53, and so my, I have two kids. I have one that's a freshman in college, and one that just graduated college, and then we have one that's going to start the 7th grade. And my wife will give me shit sometimes, be like, you don't get out and like play basketball and stuff like you did with Jack, with Everett. And I'm like, I'm 53, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? Like, there's other
Right.
shit we can do.
Sean,
Yeah.
Sean,
Sure.
where do you fit on this thing? I know, with a lot of people with the first one, it's their baby and they baby it, and then you get the second kid, and it's like, maybe a few less photos, and sure, pick up the Cheerios off the floor, right? But with a third one so young, a lot of the times I feel like those also are like more than babied, almost kind of spoiled. Where are y'all fitting in on this kind of thing?
Well, she probably gets away with a lot, whereas, we used to obsess over things like, making sure that marker only is used in appropriate places and such like that. If you were to see certain parts of my home right now, you would see that, we're embracing the chaos, you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely is different, by the time you get to the third one. Just because, order and all of that, it seemed so important before, and now it's like we're going with the flow very much.
Yeah. And how are now? Okay, so, and this is first. Well, God damn it, there's so many questions. Now you've got a baby girl, and that's a whole different thing. I would tell Gary, he had a boy first, and I would be like, it's different when you have a girl, yo. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's different. But but again, now you've got a little baby girl. How are the other kids? I mean, dude, she's got to be spoiled rotten.
Oh, absolutely. And they're so great with her, Scarlett. She's getting out of school a little early because it's her senior year and stuff, and she'll go and hang with her at the house. Of course, I'm usually at work at that time. But yeah, they both just favor her so much, and Ian is a great big brother, and we really appreciate the help from them as well, because as I said, it's a bit chaotic.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Let's talk a little about It Hurts to Be Dead and what's going on. We're talking with Sean SNYDER from It Hurts to Be Dead, and what's going on musically right now with you guys?
Right now, we've been writing a new EP. We've got 3 solid songs ready to go. We want to write 3 more, and then go and get them recorded. we keep taking shows though.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's
That's the
slowing
thing, right?
everything down, but they're not shows that we wanted to say no to by any means. So, the writing process is taking longer than we would hope, but what we have been working on is turning out really, really good.
Being a band that is, I mean, up and coming for 15 years, and but one that you're serious about, and you are, it's your whole heart, and I know that, just from knowing you. So, to make a go at it, but to balance all of this, again, to balance family, and that's a lot about what this show is all about, balancing that with family and balancing the band. And then now in this day and age, you mentioned, okay, we've got shows, we don't want to say no to shows. And then, but now also there's social media, are you able to sort of like dive into that? Are you one of those guys that is just like, man, I just don't get it, we'll post about our shows? Or what's your relationship, I guess, with social media?
My personal relationship with it is not all that it should be. I used to be obsessively, share everything constantly, keep everything updated and all that. And I just, thank God for my other band members, because they're, definitely taking up my slack as far as that. I've been so bad about it lately, but fortunately, Nicole and Kevin especially are pretty good about it.
Mhm.
Nicole's even got a TikTok for us, which I've never seen. But uh, those types of things. Thankfully, they have really like taken care of that, because it's not that I don't have time. I could make time, but I just don't have the bandwidth maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that is such, I mean, it's great that you said it that way. Cause when I look at bands and I'm just like, it's always good when someone's fired up about one thing or another, and you got people that'll cover that for you, then you can sort of focus on this other thing, I think that, and especially if someone's just better at it, and you're a songwriter, and you can focus on that. And, I know you've been doing it a really long time. Are you excited about the songs that you guys are writing these days?
Yeah, as excited as anything that we've ever written, for sure. More so even, you know, that's kind of the thing. At this point, this many years in, and with as much as there is going on, people will sometimes be like, well, you guys are still doing that, huh? Like, yeah. And we're like, getting to a point where it's, we're actually getting good. So these are
Yeah.
people that have not seen us in a long time, and stuff that I speak with. But yeah, that's every reason in the world to continue to do it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you do it because you love it, right? I mean, this is something that I speak on quite a bit. It's like, you know, people, whoever it is, asking me, this advice and this advice and this advice. And the first thing I say is, do it because you love it. Do it for you. Do it
Mhm.
because it makes you happy. It makes your heart happy. It's like, it's like I tell my kids, don't play a sport because you think we want you to.
Right.
Life is short, man. Do it for you, and then it's rewarding. And I just think, it's funny because there's certain things about, like, when I started the new country band or whatever, that I was just like, I'm gonna play anywhere, anytime, and blah blah blah. And I've really, really tried to stay with that. But a couple of years in, I'm like, okay, I don't really like doing that anymore. I'm just
Sure.
not gonna do it, But
Yeah.
but the thing is that I'm doing that for fun. I'm doing it for me. You know what I mean? And so, like, it's and I think that's the way you have to approach music, because just the chances of rock stardom are so not great, but music itself is therapeutic and rewarding and just,
I think
it's awesome.
I think with
Yeah.
any passion, hobby, career, whatever activity you're going to get it, whether it's, sports, playing music, if it's woodworking, it doesn't matter. Like, you kind of have to have that attitude in the beginning. Just do everything, do whatever you can and learn it. And you'll learn what you do and you don't like. And if
Sure.
it starts working out where you start getting busy, you can start figuring out which of those activities you do enjoy, but which activities actually produce more opportunities for what you enjoy. And, you know, you can start weeding that thing out. But I think at the start, you have to have that attitude of, I'm just going to do everything. I'm going to dive in head first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Yeah, but at this point, you know, for us, you know, if it isn't fun, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's you know, it's funny. Someone came up to me at Emma's graduation, and super nice guy, by the way, and I was very happy to be recognized. I always am, and it's just one of those things that will never get old. And I was very happy, but you know, he like came back down the stairs to talk to me again, and he was like, "Hey, you know," and I knew from listen, I am about to open up this airplane hangar, you know, and what's it gonna take? And I'm just like, yeah, bowling for soup is not going to happen. Not because we're above it. We just don't fucking want to play your party.
Yeah.
You know, we don't do that shit anymore. You know, it's
Sure.
like we don't do weddings. We got tricked into play a wedding recently, Sean. They fucking tricked us. And
how does that happen?
And our whole thing is we used to play anywhere, anytime, right? And weddings, we would do it. But the problem with weddings, if you guys have ever done one, you know this, the only people that care about you being there is the bride and groom, and everybody else.
A lot of the time, it's just the groom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They just really wish you would stop it. Please stop it and put "Celebrate Good Times" back on the DJ, and that is mostly what happens. And it does not matter how big your band is. That is how it works. And it fucking happened to us by this guy that owns a casino, essentially getting his guy to book us in the casino and then making it a private party without us knowing. And the next thing you know, I fucking go into the dressing room and I go, guys, I think we're playing a wedding. And our tour manager's like, no, it's not. Yeah, it's a wedding. And it was a fucking wedding. And guess who stood up at the front of the stage? The bride and groom.
No way.
Everybody else, hands in ears. I mean, during 1985, Sean.
What in the world?
Oh my God. It was horrible. It ended up being a great night because after it was over, we have the story, and then he just handed us a wad of cash to go into his casino and gamble. It was like,
and just give it back to him, basically.
Yeah, I just give it back to him, but it's house money, you know. But again, you can do that stuff. You get to that point where it's like, I'm either grinding this motherfucker, like Gary says. I'm going to grind. And then you get to that point where you're like, you know, that doesn't make my heart happy. You know, it doesn't bring me joy.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's like who you're in a band with too, man. You know, like there just comes a time where you know, I just see people trying to play music together. And I'm like, you two fucking hate each other, man. Like y'all are either going to write the greatest songs in the history of the world, and then one of you is going to end up being murdered, or you're just going to implode, you know. But I just think happiness is such a big part of it, you know, and you obviously love what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. You're right about all of that.
It's
crazy about that
especially
wedding.
Weddings. So EP in the works, and shows coming up. Where are these shows happening? You guys playing down here anytime soon in the Metroplex?
We will be this Saturday, the 17th. We are playing main stage at Fry Street Fair, opening for Agent Orange. So there's that. Thursday, June 19th, we're back in Wichita Falls at Iron Horse. Friday, June 20th, at Rubber Gloves in Denton. And then the next day, Saturday, we'll be at Reno's in Dallas.
June 20th, as of right now, I am home with nothing to do. And if that stays like that, then me and Gary will get a driver and drink the whole way there, and then just come raise all kinds of hell at your show. And then
that would be amazing.
Yeah. And I definitely think that would be a lot of fun. We love Kevin, your drummer. He was with us the last time we saw the Descendants, and Gary and I cried. And
I was there as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were there.
You're all there.
The reason why I remember Kevin specifically though is because I just saw him. I know you had to bolt. You came to my country show for a little while. But Kevin, I took the pictures of him with the guys from the Descendants after the show or whatever. And they had just come up in my memories, and you can't miss his hair.
Oh yeah, no, it's a recognizable dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that run of shows that we're doing in June, all of those shows. We're also doing that Sunday at the Cicada in Fort Worth, but all of those shows are with the Wee Beasties. If you are familiar
Oh,
with,
hell yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you,
We
I think,
love us some Wee Beasties.
Sean,
yeah.
what you said you're working on new material. Whenever y'all are doing that, what's your recording process? Do y'all have the same place that y'all go to? Where are you going to record it this time? How's that all work?
We haven't even really decided where we're going to do it yet, and it's been somewhere different each time. A lot of times, it comes down to what our budget is, of course, and like with anybody, I was trying to coerce Eric Walker from Carp to come out of retirement, because he used to do a lot of our recordings a long time ago. I don't know that he's as able to do that as I would have hoped. So we're still kind of like in the process of talking about where we're going to get that done. But for as long as it's taking to finish writing the songs, there's time to figure it out.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's such a crazy world too, because in plotting that, it's like even an EP, like how do you navigate that these days? Do you release one single? Do you release two? Do you release everything as a single and then release it? Have you guys talked about what the strategy is?
No, not exactly. Because
Because there's no right answer.
What we've done yeah, I mean, they're in our position. I really feel like that's correct. Like there really isn't a right or wrong way to do it. What we've done before is like, put out one thing at a time or what have you. And then, eventually everything goes up. But I think we'll probably just end up putting everything up, Spotify, where everything else is at. And, just kind of have a release sort of that way.
Yeah. And I agree with that, actually. I think, as you said, like you just want everybody to discover you. You need like as many things out there as it's 2025. I don't even know if you can say this anymore, but as many bullets in the gun as possible. Like
Right.
you want as much of that stuff out there. And again, I've been saying for 20 years that even CDs, it's just like give them to people. That's your business card now. It's just because most people don't even have a CD player, but you want them to feel guilty and go Spotify your shit.
Yeah, if you just hand somebody something, even if it's something they're not going to use, they're going to be like that guy's, that's nice.
That's really nice of them.
Yeah,
to do that.
And it's something tangible with your name on it, and that we used to joke that because we were still making CDs, long after people were using them for anything, but we were trying to get ahead of, the when vinyl became trendy and then it was cassette tape became trendy. We're like, well, we're just ahead of the curve then.
Yeah.
Eventually this is going to be cool.
Yeah, you're fucking 10 years ahead, man. That's crazy. Yeah, dude. I haven't been able to bring myself to make cassettes yet. I know it's a thing and I know whatever, but it just seems so stupid, like, and we still make CDs, by the way, because what you just said is correct. People do like to have it in their hand in some way or whatever, but it's so, it's just such a guessing game anyway, like we'll release, this many of this vinyl and they sell out. Then we've got this many of this vinyl and they don't, it's just weird. It's such a weird time, but again, for you guys, that's what's great about, the streaming thing that everybody hates so much is like, which I don't, by the way, but you can put all of that. And now the whole world has access to your music, and if somebody's like, what do you guys sound like? You can literally go, oh, well, here is the link. You can listen. If you actually give a shit about that question, you can go play it in your car right now.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I love that we can, point to, point people to our music in that way. And, it's not as if a band like ours, was going to make a fortune selling music anyway. So I don't, I'm unbothered by, people streaming it for free even,
Yeah. Everybody stole our albums, Sean. All right, so we were in the Napster age. We didn't get that. We didn't make that 90s money.
Yeah.
We that's why we still tour, because because Mama needs a new pair of shoes.
Right.
And
We never got to buy houses and boats. We just
No.
live on tour buses.
we got we definitely didn't get boats. But yeah,
Well, we have houses, but we didn't go buy mansions.
we didn't get. We have houses like in neighborhoods, like where you pull up and you just go, oh, that's where you just live with everybody else. Yeah, because everybody stole all of our shit.
But I understand what you're saying though, because there was a period of time, like probably before you guys, really blew up, where, similar situations, bands of the same size were making lots and lots of money off of records. And you guys just kind of came at the time where, people had just started like stealing everything all the time.
I know. It was just everything. And the labels were just scurrying around trying to figure it out. And then we also lived during the time where, this was when our album in 2009 came out, where the label would come up and go, guys, we've got an idea. What we need is a viral video. Oh, okay. We'll just go in here and whip one up because that's how it fucking works,
Yeah. Yeah. And see, that's where, and and I'm not one of those guys that just wants to reject everything about the digital age or anything like that. But you had asked me about social media earlier, and how proactive I am with it and stuff. But that's the side of it that I'm like not good at. And that never used to be a part of making music. It was never necessary to have to post constantly and all that kind of stuff. It's just that part is disinteresting to me. I love when other people do it. I like to watch it, but I'm not interested in doing that all the time.
It's such a balance, man. I don't think that there's any right or wrong answer. I think that everybody is looking for a formula. I even I consider myself to be pretty great at social media, but I am constantly searching for the right, what time should I do this and what time? And the ones that actually do well are the ones that I just don't give a shit and just put it out there. And I need to learn that, but maybe this is the time. Maybe I've just taught myself that, but Sean SNYDER, the band is It Hurts to Be Dead. New music on the horizon, but stuff is out there that you can stream now, and shows coming up in Wichita Falls and down where Gary and I are in the Metroplex, and one day soon, hopefully, in a town near you. And definitely I feel like you're just my buddy Eric Walker, who I talk to all the time, is just like he just loves the shit out of you, dude. He's like, Sean is the best songwriter I've ever met. And
oh my gosh,
that is a big compliment. That's a compliment from that guy. Yeah.
From someone like Eric, that is a great songwriter in his own right. That is quite the feather in my cap.
Yeah, he doesn't compliment anybody. Like Eric's just one of those dudes that's just like, yeah, I don't know. I just like Slayer.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that is true.
And then he's just like, dude, you got to check out Sean SNYDER's new shit or whatever. So,
that's great.
And so I'm so glad that we finally got to have you on the show, man. And come back and check in. We kind of talked a lot of music today. We didn't get to talk a lot of dad stuff. So, as Claire, what's her name?
Clara Patricia. Can I tell a quick story?
Yes, please.
Okay. So she was born on New Year's Eve of 23. And about 8:00 at night, right? So we get through the actual birth and all that. We get moved to our room. That's our New Year's Eve, and her birthday will be New Year's Eve for us. Obviously forever. But our first one, and it was the greatest New Year's Eve ever. That we've ever had. We had the windows in the the curtains pulled in the hospital where they were open. The good people of Wichita Falls were doing illegal fireworks for us and stuff. But the first music that Clara ever heard on NBC that night, at least in our region, it was Bowling for Soup show.
Oh, so, no way.
Yeah, Bowling for Soup and Vandaliers.
That's
uh,
right. No way.
on NBC. Yeah, so that was like the greatest New Year's Eve ever.
Oh man, that is so cool. It's something that you never think about, you know. Like you just don't, you know. It's just not like we were thinking. You know, some kid is going to hear this. You know, it's just, man, that's so cool.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was such a neat, like, full circle kind of moment, like I don't know. I wanted to tell you guys that for a while.
man, dude,
That's awesome.
I love it so much, man. Sean SNYDER, It Hurts to Be Dead. Go find them. You're gonna love them. And dude, come back anytime. And
Okay, absolutely.
dude, you know, I can't wait to hear the new stuff. And everybody else, y'all get out of here because Gary and I got shit to do. We'll see you next time. Y'all be good.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know, some rockstar dads who started a show. Until the next episode.